Right. So, as we all know that the immigration situation in the UK has always been a debatable one, and living through times, you realize that the moment most immigrants land in the land, land in the land of promises, the King's Land, of course, the UK, a lot of people would have speculations and also fear for them for their lives. What's going to be my life? Who is going to be part of the neighborhood? So we have a speech by a man which was spoken 50 years ago by a man called Enoch Powell. He was a British parliamentarian and also a politician who spoke on the 20th of April 1968. And he spoke a speech that turned out, well, according to some sources, to be true 50 years later. So we are going to give a look at the speech, then give an afterthought as we go. So, ladies and gentlemen, get ready to be gobsmacked.
Political appeal, which is a sectional appeal.
Enoch Powell was well aware of the impact his speech would have. He sent advance copies to ITV Central, then ATV, and to his local paper, the Wolverhampton Express and Star, telling its editor, "This speech will fizz like a rocket, but whereas all rockets fall to earth, this one is going to stay up."
In this country, in 15 or 20 years' time, the black man will have the whip hand over the white man.
So, he says, in 15 to 20 years, the black man will have the whip over the white man, according to him at least. And according to some, of course, those who are fans of what he said in the previous years, they still claim that he might have been saying a fact. But I don't know. Like, really, it's a matter of perspective and opinions. I really don't think this makes sense. But anyway, before we say, oh God, before we say a lot, I think we should just listen and then we give an afterthought, like I said.
He was speaking at a Birmingham hotel to an invited audience of Conservative supporters, but he knew his words would ring out to a far wider audience.
It almost passes belief that at this moment, 20 to 30 additional immigrant children are arriving from overseas in Wolverhampton alone every week.
If you are a fan or a fanatic of public policy and also current news, you realize that the UK government has been battling over the increase, or at least they say the illegal immigrants. I think I'm going to work on a show that I'm going to, an episode, that I'm going to work on how the UK government is struggling with immigrants in their country. Well, it moved from illegal immigrants. Now it's more like the spike in immigration. And now we need to put in perspective the fact that the UK government has recently banned or stopped the coming of dependence of students in the UK, which is one of the ways that someone is seeing the importance of what Enoch Powell said. But then, let's listen more.
15 or 20 additional families a decade or so hence. Those whom the gods wish to destroy, they first make mad. We must be mad.
We must be mad. The man said it. We must be mad. And it's quite very interesting. This conversation is very interesting. We must be mad because of how immigrants are coming into the country. You know that immigration policies are very volatile, especially when we're talking about the way in which you handle the politics within society, the socio-political nature of human beings. The moment we get, you see what's happening in Tunisia. Tunisia is having issues with sub-Saharan Africans, and now they are hunting them down. And usually ideas of, criminality are the ideas that usually come into mind when people are talking about these matters. So we are going to listen to this commentary after this.
But the cameras in 1968 didn't capture the following words. Enoch Powell said, "As I look ahead, I'm filled with foreboding. Like the Roman, I seem to see the river Tiber foaming with much blood." The next.
So, Powell was seeing blood in the streets, and hence the name of the speech called The Rivers of Blood. So now this man faced his opposition over what he said, and we are going to see what went after this.
Day Enoch Powell was sacked from the Conservative shadow cabinet by Ted Heath. There was outrage and protests on both sides of the argument.
And he's the only man that's prepared to risk his job, not his livelihood, but his job, to say what the ordinary people thinks.
Now, if you pay closer attention to this information, you will realize the fact that Enoch Powell was not only in his right state or wrong, I don't know, but he had people who agreed to what he said. So he had support as well. People who thought what he was saying was right and correct. Well, like they say, you put your own people first. And this man who just said, maybe let's go back a bit, he said something very important. He said,
and he's the only man that's prepared to risk his job, not his livelihood, but his job, to say what the ordinary people thinks.
He is the only man who is ready to say and risk his job and to say what the ordinary, I caught. Let's go back.
His job, not his livelihood, but his job, to say what the ordinary people thinks.
To say what the ordinary people think.
50 years on, and the speech is recalled by fellow politicians. Paul Uppel is a member of the 20,000 strong Sikh population of Wolverhampton. He was the MP in Enoch Powell's old seat for 5 years.
Dad came to UK in 1961, but he always remembers the speech in 1968 because after that speech was made, there was a palpable change in terms of the atmosphere. And for the first time, Mum and Dad always said they didn't actually feel welcome in the UK, and they'd never felt that before the speech. I think what we should look at is how Britain has matured and ultimately how Enoch Powell's predictions didn't come to pass. In fact, I'm a product of two cultures. I have a Christian first name and a Sikh surname, and I went to represent Wolverhampton Southwest. So in many ways, I think we should talk about it, but we should actually commemorate the fact that what Enoch predicted didn't come to pass.
All right, so this MP has been put. You know, one thing about media that I like is that media can set an agenda. And when they set an agenda, they can make you believe things that don't exist. The honest truth is, yes, the politics of the United Kingdom is inclusive. That I give it. The politics of the United Kingdom allows people to express themselves. It also allows people to live freely, perhaps. But the honest truth is, most of the times, the ordinary folks, like what the previous man said back in 1968, he said that the MP was saying something that resonates with the general populace, which means perhaps immigration is an idea that is ideal for politicians because they know very well that their system of benefits that they give to the people is not essential or is not adequate for the upkeep of their people. Therefore, immigration has to cover the gap. But anyway, it's all matters of perception. But yes, of course, UK is one of the most liberal countries for immigrants. But as of now, the country has been tightening its screws on immigration, and very soon it's going to be one of the hardest and toughest places to come and become a resident. However, the normal British culture is not as bad as other cultures, to be quite honest. It's not as bad, but the truth is these fine lines still exist and the gray areas still exist amongst the social makeup of the UK. It's okay, we can listen to the end of this video and see how it goes.
You are aware, are you not, that I'm opening a garden party?
Yes.
On the Saturday afternoon.
A different view on the speech from the UKIP MEP Bill Etheridge, born in Wolverhampton and a seasoned political campaigner on the issue of immigration.
Well, that speech 50 years ago was given in terminology and words that we wouldn't use today. But if you actually disseminate what he was trying to say and you look at the effects of uncontrolled mass immigration, I think there's a point to it. And I think as in many ways, Enoch Powell was a visionary who saw many things that were going to happen, like about the EU and various other things. And I think we need to understand the speech in modern terms and realise that it's something that still has massive resonance for people now.
Right, so this man comes in with a very interesting conversation. Indeed, the speech had elements of truth. He said so, yeah. Indeed, the UK is reeling over the influx of migrants per se. They are increasing every day. And to be quite honest with you, studies have been conducted to show if immigration is of any benefit of the UK people or the UK government. And study shows that really, indeed, there is a benefit from the UK government, or except that they're coming from countries that are war-torn and also hard and economically unstable. But then, like they say, you have to take it if you want, or you leave it.
Not the view of Dudley MP Ian Austin. Reading back through the words, he says Enoch Powell was simply irresponsible and wrong.
He based all this on anonymous letters he'd supposedly received. It was a dreadful speech. And the truth about the West Midlands is what's happened since, which is that people have come from all over the world and made a huge contribution to community life, to the economy in the West Midlands, the businesses that have been set up, the jobs that have been created. I think that's something that we should celebrate, and I think we should use this anniversary to say that Enoch Powell was completely wrong, and the predictions he made have not been proved true at all.
A final word from the...
I guess you know what I'm trying to say. Yeah. The man is saying it's not true what Enoch Powell was saying. He is saying that it's not true that the immigrants are going to take over and they're going to take the whips and take over the country. But we still see people who do resonate with this message. It's really in some people's eyes, in some people's ears. Trust me, when you're moving into the UK, and if you look for those who are in the UK, they can tell you that there are some really serious people who still question about this whole immigration policy. Anyway, guys, if you found this video intriguing, please don't forget to subscribe and leave a comment and tell me what you think about this whole Enoch Powell speech. And to me, it came as a surprise, but well, there are no surprises on earth. You always expect anything. Nothing is new. So, for now, I'll leave you, and please don't forget to subscribe and also like. Don't forget to share and join the growing team. Until next time, peace out.